And now we have Johnny's arrangement here, and I think this is the first score I've looked at by you, and I just think it's just a bunch of great ideas stuck together. They're just like a bunch of really cool touches, and I just really enjoyed looking at this, and let's see how our evaluation goes. I mean, there's some things to fix, but yeah, really cool. So look, there are a few kind of confused articulations. Like, if you were going to do a down bow stroke, several in a row, I think that it's kind of complicating matters to go right. It's like the staccato, slurred staccato is like a mezzo staccato. So it's like so you're going and it sort of defeats the purpose of of you know this altalone, right? This just like this driving. This is really kind of a driving sort of a articulation accent. So you got accent staccato plus a staccato after that, and just a series of these long down bows, right? I would say lose the staccatos and just go rather than Do you know what I mean? That's the articulation that you're going to get, which is also fussy to do. Just like you kind of assume, and then here you have and it just seems, I don't know. Yeah, see, like this is really what you mean, duh, right? Like if this is what you mean, and it's really plain to see in the articulations marked in your brass and your winds, that's what you should mark for your cellos too, right? That's what needs to happen. Now, I'm also a little dubious about glissando, like snap pizzicato, so snap and then because one of the things about snap pizzicato is that there's very little sustain. Do you know what I mean? So like the snapping almost cuts off the sound, so you get the smack. So you're going smack, smack. You know what I mean? There's like barely any value to I mean, like you get a little bit of the resonance going up, right? I mean, it's a really cool idea. If you can get somebody to do it well, then great, you should go for it. Or if you yourself are it might work better on double bass than on like violins. On violins, I would say it probably would have the least amount of actual value to like of sustain there, right? So anyway, let's with all that out of the way, let us take a look at just how everything is scored. So I really do like that whole idea, though. Ba, ba, ba. And I think this is the first time I've seen this in this idea in these challenge entries. And, nice, all that aside, you've got nice secco, like tuba and timpani, bump, 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 bump. And then, and then all the other stuff coming in. Just the nice heavy hit from cymbals, bass drum, side drum. Look, if you're going to throw in, I think somewhere you threw in like this. Here we go. This isn't just, yeah. Look, I would say secco, right? Just like mezzo forte secco. Like, I mean, I don't think you need to put this in here, like at the end of a long sustain from Tam Tam. I think that the player will just cut things off by here. I don't think you need to put that in there. Okay, so anyways, yeah, so pretty good scoring. So coming in on the second beat, bum, bum, bum. Okay, so now we've got the bump, 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 bum, which goes to here, right? The trombone. So it's pretty much bassoons helping out the trombones. And I really love the way that it builds up to this point. That is such a cool idea. Like I said, it's just filled with really neat ideas. And then you've got a really heavy reaction here. bass clarinets, bassoons, contrabassoon, and bass trombone and tuba kind of joining together, and along with timpani. It's just really going to be a massive, bum 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 bum, right in there. So, how many trombones here? Like here, you say solo, tutti. Okay, so you don't say tutti in a wind or brass part unless it's some concert bands and brass bands might use the word tutti. But you're just going to tell us which player is playing this, right? So if it's both players, you say a two. If it is the first player, you say one, period. Second player, you say two, period. Okay? But don't say tutti. That's in concert scoring, that is for the strings. All right? Okay, so dun 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 dun, and then wow, everybody just goes ba dun 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 dun. All right, now one slight problem in here is that you're leaving an open octave here. Okay, I mean that can be used to a good effect. Usually, it's better to fill in the octaves, right? Because you've got like lowest octave and then like an octave above that, probably the main voice in there is those trombones. And then you've got the trumpets and C up here. Now, how many trumpets? Who's playing? Who's playing what? Is this first trumpet? You've got three trumpets, right? So if this were three trumpets playing all together, yeah. Did you notice the sort of smeary quality that you could hear from your mock-up? That is not, that's not a lie. There will be a sort of a smeary quality to that. If you're going to go marcato to a staccato and then, ba-da. Putting an accent in the middle of a slur has a specific kind of effect. And then you've also got the forte piano. I would say that's just too fussy. I mean, you would be better off with this. Do you know what I mean? Da, da, da. Because that gives you can put some tongue on that accent. Like, otherwise, the other way, the player has got to accent with his stomach, right? Not with his tongue. Da. And there's really, and not only that, then they have to go forte piano. Da. So it's a little fiddly. Do you know what I mean? It's just a little fiddly in there. Okay. So neat percussion scoring throughout this next passage. Okay. And then, you build down. That is a cool idea. And then you've got this sort of throbbing portato right in here. Not so sure that you had to bring it down so far to pianissimo, but still, yeah, I mean, it's good that you've got this uninterrupted. Now here, I think, I can see what you want to do here, but you should be aware that the mass of sound we just heard, forte on our untuned percussion, right? Bass drum playing forte. Cymbals are still mezzo forte. I don't know. Maybe you intend them to be forte here. Forte tam tam, right? Forte side drum, forte timpani, forte piano on these, on all of these instruments. And also, we just heard a very big solo here. All right. And by the way, you need to, yeah. All right. I'll get to that later if I can. So you just had this big, massive sound, and some of it's continuing, and you're telling the poor, benighted violins who can nowhere are near naturally that loud, that they are going to start off, they're going to catch everybody's attention here. Or they're not. They're not. You should come in strong here. Fortissimo, right there, or else nobody's going to pay attention to this part. I mean, yeah, I know you want this to emerge out of the clouds of whatever you left behind here, but I don't think people are going to get the idea until they've already passed by. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like an F-14, going, at Mach 3, over a continent or over a country. By the time you see what you need, by the time you see what's coming up, it's already behind you, right? So I feel that that's going on right here. It's just like you want to bring that out. So I would say, if you must do that, start at forte and add accents all the way through. So otherwise, I just feel it's kind of wasted. This is neat. these little bites here by the trumpet. But like what dynamic level? Pianissimo, right? Forte piano, diminuendo. Is this pianissimo? Bip bip. Okay, now this is nice. You want a solo horn in here, and I think that is cool. Dun 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 dun. Wouldn't it be cool if there was some articulation here? Maybe some accents or staccato, and then a tenuto mark right here, right? Now, solo trumpet, that makes a whole lot of sense. I see what you're doing here. You know, timpani, A down to G sharp. You're going boom. Then this ding. I think that you need to mark in something, you know, like a stem down or at least something, because this notation looks a bit messy the way this is. Okay. Yeah, and you know, you're coming into some very big solos here. Maybe you don't need to go all the way down to pianissimo here. Okay, so 3 trumpets in C, solo trumpet here, and then just throwing in that G sharp in here. I think that's really clever. Bum 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 boom bum 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 dong bum 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 bum. Yeah, so nice separation of functions, and then the pizzicato on the offbeats. So yeah, so this is really nice. I mean, there's just some really fun stuff in here. Some things would need to be adjusted, but yeah. And then dun 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 dun. That's very cool. The way that was scored. Okay. And forte piano tremolo right in there. Oh, you know, does it have to be forte piano though? You know. Anyway, just okay. And then okay, so this is. I want you to get past this feeling that the bass drum needs to have long values. All right. It doesn't. Right. What is the resonating cavity? The thing that, you know, the sustaining quality. Is the chamber that the bass drum is hit in. Right. So the drummer, you know, the bass drum hits that note, and it is going to decay so quickly anyways, right? You can tell the player, well, you know, don't damp this, you know, LV or whatever. But in the long run, you know, the bass drummer is just going to have this impulse to just like, you know, just to shut off the, any further vibration, and then just let the audience hear the hall carrying the sound of the bass drum. So it's not going to last this long anyway. So just mark it down to like eighth notes, quarter notes, you know, and yeah, don't worry about sustain on that. It's just really not going to make much of a difference. Now, in the next part, we've got some more cool things. Now, in this, we're getting more of this sort of pizzicato. I think that you can overuse this effect. Do you know what I mean? And I noticed that in this particular section, because of the prominence of the other parts here, leading to doubling and, you know, these hits right here and all this other stuff, this is where, not only in the playback, but also just visually, it just feels like these parts right here need more support than just pizzicato glissando or pizzicato portamento. So I would say, you know, if you could go back to arco here, whether it was glissando or whether it was just like a simple slur, I think that this part would come out a whole lot more. It wouldn't be wasted as it is now. You know, not only is it, you know, virtually inaudible in your mock-up, but it also just is really doing very little for me visually with my inner ear. Just looking at it, it doesn't really feel like it is going to contribute that much to the music with the, you know, because these are very short notes. Do you know what I mean? This is very small. So what are you getting here? Like, unless you put in a tenuto mark here, and, you know, they really sit on this. You've got the punctuation of the snap here, but you get almost nothing from the second pitch, right? Especially with like the violas. So, you know, it might be better for you to go to a bowed kind of thing, and and you can support the bass. Like if let's say that you were to go to bowed strategy, then you could do a whole row of these on every beat and support the trading off between the bass clarinet and the bassoons, right? And just like the cello could be covering all of those in support, and then you would still hear the line move up and down as it traded off between double bass and cello and viola, right? Okay, all right. So we've got our emphasis notes, horns, trumpets, and trombones. All of them playing what sounds in concert is E minor seventh, open E minor seventh interval, and and then along with pizzicato, emphasizing those, and then going to this. I think that is really, really cool. That's neat. Bringing these elements together, and then these two just tromping right in here. So how are you going to do this? Are you going to do those non-divisi? Divisi? Well, you should tell us right there. And also, like, pizzicato. I mean, we're saying pizzicato, and this is snap pizz. So does that make this pizzicato too? So it might be better just to not put the pizzicato in. If you're going to stick with the snap pizzicato, then mark pizzicato here, and then you go back to the snap thing, and then you say arco here, right? That'd just be a better way of doing it, I think, a clearer way for the player. Okay, all right. So yeah. So and then with these little guys in here still. Okay, I like that a lot. And then you've got your timpani sort of playing a bass line here. Okay, that's all good. Yeah. Yeah, I usually don't bother tying across a bar line when I've got, more sustained timpani. I mean, you can do it, but it doesn't really kind of matter that much. Okay. Okay, and then you've got the little contrapuntal stuff going on here. So, what is right here and what is wrong? Okay, so first of all, you've got piccolo, flute, oboe, right? And you've got this sort of double octave double octave thing here between the second flute and the piccolo. It's precarious. Honestly, it's precarious because that bottom note is going to become less and less strong, right? You can get away with it sort of up to this F sharp, but once you get to the E, the D, the C, it just is really not very strong scoring at all. I mean, I think you would be better off giving this lower line all the way through up to here to, say like English horn, or like maybe this could be second clarinet part, and that could be first clarinet part on that lower line. I just feel that it's weak. It just sorry, I'm starting to sound like Johnny Fontaine. It's weak. My voice is weak. Godfather. Yeah. So no, I think that this needs to be it just needs to be a naturally stronger instrument in that register so that these can be balanced more. Your playback is telling you that it's going to sound really great, and no, it's not. It's just going to be very vaporous. And especially you want a nice biting forte piano, right? And what's more, you've got these other stronger elements coming in right at that same time. So it's just going to blow that second flute out of the water. Okay. So now, we've got our clarinet coming in, pretty much playing octave with whichever bassoonist. Once again, we're not really seeing, is this A2? Is it one player? Which player? If so, expressive and so on. Yeah, so we kind of need to know, we need more information about how many people are playing. All right? Because that also helps me to judge how effective the scoring is going to be. One thing I will say, I love this right here. I think that is very, very cool. Da, 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 da. I think that in the violas is really and cellos as a unison. I think that's going to sound very cool. I think you do need to tell us what dynamic that is, right? And in fact, there's a real dearth of dynamics on this whole page, right? Forte, forte piano with the fortissimo down here. So is this still piano? Right? So how does this contribute? If this is still piano, how does that contribute to this if this is forte, right? So we've got forte marked here for this, but what's this? Mezzo forte, forte, fortissimo, right? Need to know. Generally, at the beginning of a new section, since like people jump back to it, and when they're rehearsing or studying or whatever, people just kind of need to know in a new section what the new dynamics are sometimes. Yeah. So, anyways, there just seems to be kind of more of a need for information there. Don't feel, you could be adding a lot more nuances here. Like you could be, you could be going da 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 da, right? Yeah, you could be adding hairpins and doing all kinds of cool things with articulations and tenuto marks at the beginning of slurs and all kinds of very cool things. Don't feel like you have to hold back. All right. Yeah. So very cool counterpoint going on here. The strings here, giving over to horns, clarinet, and bassoon. Pretty much the solo. I suppose that's first horn. Joining in with the bassoon. Now, see, like here's where I would really need to know how many are playing, right? So if this is one horn plus two bassoons, that's balanced, sort of, right? Plus how many clarinets. So, everybody, like two clarinets, two oboes, and a horn kind of trading off, going from there to like a C trumpet at the octave, and adding these other voices below. This is going to be a very kind of band-like sound with that many winds, off four winds, right? Or if it's just two, then you're blending a clarinet and a bassoon, right? Which can be effective in that middle register, but still, might just be as easy just to have two bassoons there, right? Or just a clearer sound, a clearer tone. But I do like the idea of kind of filling in the gap here with trumpet. It's going to make these upper flutes more brittle, rather than being quite just like pearly and shiny and perfect and everything like that. It's going to make them feel a little edgy. All right, then we get to bum 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 ba da 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 dum, and I think that this is really fun. You could have added a little bit more support with the lower strings here, I think. But maybe we were getting to the point of just kind of really trying to get it done, so a few things got left out. I think, like, for instance, like dynamics and accents and other kinds of things. Yeah, you kind of wouldn't want to do this, to put a slur across a rest, right? Yeah, basically, I think this is what you really mean, and that is, right? Is that what you mean? So anyways, yeah, think about those things a little bit. Okay, and then there's little spikes here. Accents, right? You don't need to, this kind of scoring, that could be non-divisi. Those octaves are very easy to play. All right, especially for the first violin, who can, they can achieve this with just playing this A on the E string and having an open A down here. Very, very easy to get that. Anyway, so look, let's turn the page. I think that this next part here is just, kind of a sketch. It's really just sort of getting ready to score this out. There's a lot of doubling. You got sort of solo marked on everything. I think you just mean, it could be that you are thinking that solo means, hey, that means the first player, right? But you have to say one solo, right? And then also be aware that solo really means to kind of bring out the texture, or bring out the part against a texture, right? So if these are all just like the first player, right, and like of each group, like that has two on a staff, so like if you just mean first bassoon, bass clarinet, first clarinet, and English horn, and you just want those parts to be nice and expressive, and they're just like, And this is really all that there is, and there is no texture behind them. You don't need to mark solo because it's just, everybody knows that this is going to go down to sort of a chamber type sound. And the same thing here. Like, I mean, I'm wondering if you mean, like, so here you have solo and there you have tutti. So that I'm assuming you mean that you really want the concertmaster, the principal second, and the principal viola to be playing along with these instruments. Now, this is the place where you really do have to balance things, I think, just to make the rehearsal go faster. So I would say mark these guys forte and these guys mezzo forte, and then you'll have a nice balance there. Okay. And then you come in tutti, and then, okay, pizzicato with a slur, right? So that would mean that you would be letting go, like you would have the violist would have their fingers sitting on both of these notes, and they would pluck this, and then they would let go, and then you would hear this sound. You would barely hear this sound, right? It really only works. That kind of thing really works more with chamber music, where the nuances, are very, very obvious, and I mean, check out some modern 20th century string quartet writing for more about that. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't quite work in this kind of situation. Okay, and then you're going to A2. You have two English horns there, and maybe this is just copy and paste error. So A2 clarinets and bassoons, and then we're just sort of starting to die out. Now this is actually this is very easy to play. This D here would just be the octave harmonic on the D string, and this one would be the touch 4 harmonic on the D string. So just very, very easy to negotiate both of these ideas. So and then this sort of starts to fizzle out a little bit. But I thought I would just give you a little bit of feedback on this if you had taken it a little farther, some things to think about. And maybe I'm just saying a bunch of things on this last page that you're just saying, yeah, Thomas, I know. I was going to fix that and do this and the other thing. So apologies if so. Anyways, so yeah, I really enjoyed looking at your score, Johnny. I think you got lots of really fun ideas and just really a blast looking through it, and just found it extremely enjoyable and a really worthy addition to our kind of growing stable of regulars. And it would be really nice to have you as one of our regular contributors to these yearly orchestration challenges, as I've got them planned out for the next 2 years, possibly 3. I just thought of another piece I could possibly assign in 2021. And we're already getting into the 2020s, which is kind of funny because my vision is, probably anything but 2020 now. All right, so I'm on a roll. I'm just going to keep going. So, I'm going to see if I can get through all of these Brev entries tonight, which is a Friday night here in Wellington, New Zealand, probably Thursday night for everybody else, and just feeling really great about it. So on I go, and thank you so much for sending me this score, Johnny, and on to the next score now.